Today I want to talk about language, more specifically, labels. The misuse of labels. How do labels impact society? And then I want to touch on perhaps looking at it from a different perspective. Somebody who doesn't need labels, who doesn't feel like they identify with labels, who probably hasn't even thought about labels before. With so many great labels, there are so many responsibilities behind them. Let me explain. So a couple weeks ago at the Gender Odyssey conference, I was talking to someone who kind of noticed that there is a larger array of labels, and that also certain words 10, 20, 30 years ago mean the same thing as different words do now. Definitions of certain words have changed over time. The definitions of labels keep changing. The issue is that in 10, 20, or 30 years, we will be back at square one because nobody knows what this new word means. So let's use bisexual for example. Bisexual means that you're attracted to two genders. So 10, 20, 30 years later, bisexual evolves into secondosexual. Secondo is Latin for two. So now we have a new word that means the same thing that it did 30 years ago. And we have to re-educate those same people who think they had it 30 years ago. That's not helping us. That's putting us further back. So labels are important on a societal level for a couple different reasons. Because they allow someone to grasp onto something to advocate change. There's been debate about the acronym LGBT and how the T should be left out of the LGB. Now, this makes perfect sense because T is gender related, LGB is sexuality related. However, LGBT is its own label. It defines everybody who is outside of the cis heterosexual world. So by removing the T from LGBT, we are taking a step back. We now have to raise awareness for transgender rights. By removing the T from LGBT, we are creating two separate labels aiming for the same purpose, equality. This means that it's going to take more time, more effort, more energy, more money to pass laws for LGB and T. So let's look at it from someone in the cis heterosexual world. All around you, labels are changing, they're evolving, or they're splitting. How can you be for something if you don't understand it at its most basic level? By having labels split, by having labels evolve, by changing definitions, people outside of the LGBT spectrum can't grasp. Many of them have a hard enough time grasping it as it is. Adding in all these factors only is going to make it more difficult for them. They might be accepting, but they're not understanding. And understanding is the key. They might be accepting, but if they can't understand, then they can't help. They can't help others do the same. So if you decide to label yourself, make sure that the label you use is consistent with your identity. Make sure that the labels you use are consistent with their definition. Your identity can change as long as the label changes with it. Because if you don't match the label, you do create confusion for those around. Confusion leads to lack of understanding, and lack of understanding isn't going to get us anywhere. Thanks for watching my video. If you agree or disagree with me, let me know in the comments down below. That's half the reason why I do these videos, is to create a conversation. Also, if you want to click that subscribe button way up there, check out my Facebook over there. I think my Instagram is right here. If you like this video and want to support this channel, you can click this little link to Patreon right here. And if you can't afford Patreon, you can click this little like button down here. Algorithms tend to like things that trend, and liking is a good way to get things trending. Alright, thank you all so much, and I'll see you next time.